Welcome. Good evening. I'm Miss Jill, and this is In the Know. Right now, unless you have been under a rock, you know what everybody is talking about. Americans are now paying the most that they've ever paid for gas. The national average, as of this morning, recorded by AAA, is $4.17 a gallon. That is, that's a little high, and I think everybody's feeling it.
Yeah, I'm getting a skateboard.
Oh, come on now.
Oh, man, I'm serious. These cats gonna be strong in the next 2 weeks. I'm getting a skateboard.
Well, and they say it's not going to get any better. I mean, I know every time I turn around, it's up a little bit. It's up a little bit. $3.99, $4.15, $4.25. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, one of the biggest things that's going on actually is Russia and in the oil, in their crude oil. You know, a lot of people are backing out of buying their oil.
Yeah.
So Russia is like the third largest oil supplier in the world.
Yeah, I know Biden just said earlier today that he was limiting or restricting or even ending the import of Russian oil in the United States. But I don't think we get more than 2 or 3% of our oil from Russia.
I mean, that's a lot still. I mean, you have to think about it. And then also a lot of the traders can't sell oil right now. They're scared that, you know, being that the oil prices are going up, they can't sell it.
Yeah, that's
so guess who gets the blunt of that?
Yeah, we get the consumers have to get the blunt of that.
Yeah, we get the downfall of that. So I mean, a lot of things is happening as far as you know. It's crazy that the people that sells oil in Russia, they can't sell oil to themselves right now.
Yeah.
I'm dead serious. They can't sell oil to themselves right now.
Man,
that's how bad it is.
Yeah, when I go to the gas pump, I just close my eyes. I just don't even look.
Because it doesn't matter.
Look, it won't hurt.
Right.
You know you need it. So, I mean, but I got a question about that. Just because I'm curious. People always talk about, you know, why you using 93 when it's the same. You can use the regular gas versus the premium, and I just want to know.
It depends on your car.
You might know, but I'm just thinking about the men on the panel right now. Do y'all really know?
It depends on your car. Now, certain cars specifically says premium.
Yeah, well,
and it's thicker for that premium oil. It's thicker and it's stronger. Now,
they may be in cahoots with the
and he is right, but it's actually the octane, which is what is being produced in the byproduct that's coming out of it. And if your engine is not firing properly, and that's why they say the different oils, because it's how your engine is firing, and that burns up the octane, and that lowers the emissions and all of that. Okay. But it also,
so if I'm burning the octanes, that means I'm using my gas faster.
Yes, and also it could, if you don't use the proper gas, that can like lose residue. You know, when you get that sputter in your car and you have to use that STP, that is what happens when you use the wrong octane of gas. So that's why they say, but it's the makeup and everything. That's why they tell you. But it's really no different other than, like E said, if your car is built for that, then if it don't say premium, don't use premium. That's what it says.
So it's almost like when you're buying a car, you need to consider that. That's one of the things you really need to look at.
I mean, it's just
especially
like you trying to put the regular gas in the diesel. Won't work.
Well, my car's not getting anything special. To me, that's like a woman without lashes and with lashes. So my car is not going to have any lashes, whether she needs it or not. But let's talk a little bit about the profit margins. What are we paying? Like, what is a cost per barrel right now?
A cost per barrel is like $200.
It's not $200 yet.
It's
not yet. It's where it's headed. Actually, at the end of trading today, each barrel was at I think $128 a barrel, and that is extremely high from just this summer when it was like 57, 58, or the highest it got over the summer was like $90-something a barrel. So now it's like $128. But they are saying that where you alluded to earlier with the war that's going on in Russia and Ukraine, it could be pushed up to $200 a barrel, which they're predicting that could be $5-6 a gallon of gas.
Yeah, and they're actually predicting that for within the next 2 weeks, if not sooner. Yeah. So I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, your boy Putin need to go on about his business and leave stuff alone. I mean, you got to think about it. If gas prices go up, guess what else go up? Everything else.
Everything else.
Because you got your truckers, you have people trying to get the word. I mean, it's just. If you can't get the stuff from one side of the country to the other side of the country, without, I mean, the truckers already paying like $600 to fill their tank.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So just imagine if gas go up even higher.
Yeah.
You're looking at maybe $1,000 or more just to fill a truck tank up. So guess what? They got to take in cost of, okay, if I got to take this across the country.
Yes.
Oh, guess who's going to fill that?
Yeah, we're going to feel that.
We're going to feel
so
it.
even if, you don't drive or you don't have a car, you're going to feel the effects because like E said, this is going to trickle down in many different ways. I mean, we're seeing it with everything. Food prices right now have reached record highs as well. And, that's something that is also going to affect every single one of us.
It affect everybody. And that's one of the reasons why I just don't go to the grocery store. Just use what you have. No.
You got a garden?
You use what you have in the cabinet. You know how you have the items in the cabinet that you look at and you say, well, I don't have anything to eat.
No, you do.
Yeah.
Keep pushing
No,
over
you
to the
do.
back. You just keep, but there's so many other factors that have played a role in the reason why our prices are skyrocketing. One of the things that people kind of forgot was pre-pandemic.
Yes.
Because a lot of people were blaming it on the pandemic and now we blame it on the wars. But there was a lot of things going on from global warming and different things as far as the poor harvest that was going on before the pandemic. And so a lot of that has caused a problem. At one point, remember, climate control was having an effect as far as droughts in certain areas.
Yes.
So looking at those things, but so thinking about Russia and Ukraine, so I had to look in there a little bit to see what was going on with that, to see what's coming down the pipe, right? Because we know it's going to get crazier. So looking at Russia and Ukraine, they grow about 14% of the world's wheat,
Yes,
and account for 28% of global wheat exports. So sometimes you don't really understand the power that some of these places, it's the unspoken power. So you don't understand why it's such a big deal for certain things to work right and to work in our favor. But so look at this. So all of these things happen and you say, so what's the effect of that? Of course, we're talking about gas. But when you think about gas, think about the shipping. Remember when all those tanks were stuck? Where those
probably still
some still out
and
there.
I was getting ready to say, and some of them still are, and they were talking about the food that actually rotted, sitting, and some still have the food sitting in there and continuing to rot.
Yes.
And so, what is that going to do? So we all understand basic economics, supply and demand,
Right.
And so that was one of the issues. But then, so I'm looking at like from the beginning. So you know how you say, okay, let's grow the chicken. And then when the chicken get big enough, it's going to produce the eggs. But somewhere in there, chicken going to get killed. So I started looking like all the way back. And so thinking about that, so think about the wheat has to go from the wheat to the mills, then the flours to the baker, and the bread and cakes to the supermarkets on the shelves.
Right.
And so all of these other people in the midst of it, the processing cost of everything.
Yes.
And then, so here's a sad reality. People like Tyson Foods, they are raising theirs. So they're going to meet inflation, so to speak, so that they bottom line, their profit at their first quarter is larger. And so that's obviously going to cause some problems. But then you have people like Walmart that says, no, we're going to rely on our good relationships with the past with all of our suppliers to kind of keep our prices down. So at least they're being mindful of that.
Yeah.
The question is, does it matter? Does that matter?
Right.
Because those people have to incur the cost somewhere.
Right.
So
I don't think it's a cost they incur. I just think that it's to the point where it's an opportunity. It's an opportunist.
Well,
I mean, let's think about it.
Like Tyson Foods.
Yeah, it's an opportunity to get to make more money. And they're not gonna lose they're not gonna lose money like that. I mean, in the process. But at the end of the day, it's a war, so we could up our prices and blame it on the war.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I look at it.
And absolutely, because they actually raised, like, for instance, beef. They raised it 33%, chicken 20%. Y'all know people was on that chicken.
Chicken.
I'm just saying, the chicken
already
wings,
high.
the chicken. People started buying chicken thighs, chicken backs. I mean, I don't know, but so the chicken went up 20%, and so driving higher inflation for profit. And this is what it says: Tyson Foods their shares climbed more than 11% to an all-time high the Monday after they reported their first quarter sales or profit.
Like he said, they saw an opportunity to make money. Tyson and I believe Purdue, they actually raised their own chickens. So that eliminates, they're buying out the chicken. I know Purdue does it, but I think Tyson actually has farms that, so that's at the cost that you already eliminate. You go to the farm and you pick out the chickens, or you raise as many chickens as you want. But then again, I understand that there was global things and everything.
That's what I was going to say.
So
when the harvest
that.
was ruined, then the corn prices increased, which means if they're feeding their cattle and chickens or whatever, they're feeding them corn, then the price is going to go up.
Right.
Which sad to say, those of you that like alcohol beverages, that means that alcohol will be going up too. So from baby food to bourbon, you're going to feel the increase.
Yeah. And the funny part about it.
Sorry, E, I just wanted to tell you real quick.
He likes
you
baby
might have
food.
to. Well, he may have to push the ribeye steaks aside and get you some ground beef patties.
No, everything went up except for pork.
Pork increased too.
No,
people just don't talk about it.
I don't think pork.
Bacon is ridiculous.
Bacon's already ridiculous.
Bacon was already ridiculous.
I mean, if you look at I've been to the store recently and I looked at the prices. Pork. Only thing that went up on the pork was the ribs and bacon.
Well, that's all you want to eat from the.
I mean, most people get pork chops and pork steak and all that, still the same price.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying.
I looked at it.
Oh, go ahead, you.
I look at it too, from at a local level. So, you have people that go to the food bank regularly because they are on a fixed income or, elderly. And that is how they feed their families or themselves. Well, right now you have people that have never utilized any kind of assistance who are also waiting in that same line. So the food banks only get so much food based on the projections of who comes. So we're really going to start feeling it at a local level here. And something that I think of, when you guys were just talking is years ago, I mean, there are people who study things, and some of us call them conspiracy theorists. However, years ago, I remember everybody saying, you better be self-sufficient. You better get off the grid. Mm-hmm. You better get to the point where you do not need gas, food from the store. And I'm afraid to say that we are there. We are at that point.
And another thing, because, you have people, especially during the pandemic, people started cooking more at home. So that was a good thing. So, but as far as which saves more money, is it, because I hear people all the time say, sometimes it feel like it's better and more affordable for you to just eat out than to cook at home. And so that was one of the things I looked up. And so dining out was up 6%, where cooking at home was 6.5%. So it was a little bit more, but a lot of that has to do with what type of condiments and seasonings and things like that. Because, some people got to put this kind of meat in the greens, and you're doing a lot more at home sometimes. And so, so looking at those different things. And then I kind of have some tips before we get off the food, because I feel like everybody could use a few tips. And so I just want to share some real fast, and then we can move on. So some of the things we need to do is, of course, look for those coupons, not just the ones that you clip, but the ones that are digital coupons. Look for those. Reorganizing the refrigerator. That was one of the things, and I'm thinking, do people really do that? But it really matters when you go in there and look. You may say, oh, my goodness, there's a carton of eggs that's almost expired. Right. I need to cook these before these. Right. So a lot of times you're not rotating. Doing that to prevent waste. Other things, of course, plan. Write out the list before you go to the grocery store, and stock up if you see things that's on sale that you really use.
Right.
So stock up on those different items.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
So if you are in the market looking at buying a used car, you can plan on paying pretty much double of what you would have paid for that at this time last year. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the auto industry.
Well, I just had to go through that whole traumatic experience of buying it was crazy buying a car. First and foremost, they're saying because of the chip shortage that a lot of people are not trading in their cars. They're holding their cars. And that is upping the price of used cars. If you were to get a used car last year or 2 years ago, this average price of a used car is $19,000. Now it's a firm $23,000 to $25,000.
What used car you buying for 18?
I'm just saying that's what they were saying.
So who is that? I need to talk to.
This was on cars.com.
Oh, I know used
Don't go there.
Well, I'm just telling you.
Depends on the used car.
Depending on the used car,
right,
and it's an average. It's an average. It's a
Terrible
broad
right now.
average.
That's a horrible.
But the used car now stand at $25,000. They depreciate like 30% less than they have in the last 10, 15 years because there's no other cars to mark it off of. We all go trade our car in, and we all get the same car, different conditions, so they can vary. They can do variables to determine what's going to be the average price. Yeah, but they don't have those cars right now. Now they're saying the new cars, the brand new cars. First of all, if you order a new car, you're going to have to wait 6 months before you get it because that's what they're saying with these chip shortage. And you can put an order in for a car and they're not guaranteeing you're going to get this car. So what are they doing? They're running the lottery. Like Eric said, it's a price war. They're running the lottery. So you go in and you say, I want this car with these specific features and everything. They say, okay, we're going to sign you up. Some dealerships are actually making you pay a deposit, which is non-refundable.
Mm-hmm.
Some dealerships are, just saying, well, we can put you on the list, but we can't say you're going to get it. But the average new car is starting at $28,000 to $29,000. That's with no bells. That's with no whistles. That's with nothing luxurious. That's just a base car.
Better keep the
and that's where we are now.
Well, I mean, I would say to this, if anybody go out and buy a new car anyway, if it ain't a luxury car, there ain't no point of buying a new car. Because as soon as you pull it off that lot,
now we know who balling.
I mean, I'm just saying.
It depreciates anyway.
It depreciates so much when you pull it off the lot. So, I mean, probably not right now, but normally it depreciates. You say you bought your car for $28,000.
Mm-hmm.
When you take it out off the block and take it a block, it'll already depreciate $10,000.
Yes.
Yeah, but you know how many people just love the smell.
The smell.
You can buy
get
the
that
scent.
$2 spray.
You can buy the new car scent.
I'm just saying that's one thing, but just to put that first mile on it. Take the paper off.
Half the time you're not taking the first mile, putting the first mile on it. You already got the first 3 miles already on it.
Yeah, but he's to the point. And what they're saying is, and everything is right now surrounding the war in the Ukraine and the shipping and things. And I hate to say that this is the determining factor, Doc V, as you said. There were things going on pandemic-wise before this.
Right.
There was a luxury car line. I think it was Audi. They had a ship out in the Pacific that they burned up. Well, they didn't burn up. They caught on fire. The cars caught on fire. And that raises the price because they lost inventory.
Yeah,
so,
before you leave that point, because I was going to say those cars, what do they call those things? Those big tubs, whatever they're called. But those were there before the war.
Right.
So
those tankers,
yeah. So it's a lot.
So, and that's what I'm saying. So there was a chip shortage prior to the war. China stopped making the chips. I don't know what Trump did before the tariffs and the treaties and everything, but they stopped importing more chips. So we were down chips. You can drive anywhere in Fort Wayne. You can see a parking lot full of GM trucks where they can't move them because they don't have those chips, and they're getting chips in a minimum amount. So you saying you want this new Escalade, and they're going to say, okay, the new Escalade is $120,000 where it was $80,000 last year, but we're going to ask you to put $10,000 down and you order it. But if somebody else get it before you, you just lost $10,000.
Right.
Because they want you to secure that. Then they'll tell you, well, they'll keep you on the list. But who's going to wait a year for a car?
Right.
And then you can't afford to lose that $10,000.
Right.
So it's what do you do? Do you put a deposit on the car? Do you try to find a used one that there are none out there? I mean, and that's just causing so many different problems. Even rental car companies cannot keep cars on their lot because people can't find cars. So what are they doing? They're going to rent cars for months at a time.
And then you buy, like you said, you think you're ordering a brand new vehicle. By the time you get it, it's not a new vehicle anymore because the new one is out.
Right.
I mean, so.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's so much going on, and we had talked about a whole lot, and I know we talked about gas, we talked about food, we talked about everything. I was reading a study today that inflation has gone up 1.7% in the last month alone. In a last month alone, 1.7%, and it's predicting that it's going to go higher. But the median income has decreased as well in the last year. What's that saying is where we're looking at it, our expendable income has become less and less. We might be making more an hour,
Right.
but when you're paying $4 for a gallon of milk, which we talking about gas,
Yeah.
Right.
a gallon of milk is almost $4 in some places. Alaska, it's $15 for a gallon of milk.
And I was going to say, what about the price of a loaf of bread?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
How much is a cow in Alaska?
Right. There you go.
That's what I would ask.
You know, another weird thing is furniture. I mean, just waiting, the amount of time that you have to wait for furniture.
Yeah,
and so, real quick, I know we have that, but here's a quick list of all of the things you can expect to go up if they haven't already, which we've already, I don't know, housing, food, clothing, heat, gas, cars, electronics, furniture, and medical. So we're talking about inflation, and I heard somebody's going after Parkview Hospital to try to get them to lower their medical costs. So
I bet they are.
Oh, yeah.
I bet they are. And you brought up housing. So let's talk a little bit about housing. So right now, Fannie Mae said that the average cost of a home is up 20% from last year, but that's not the issue right now. So pre-pandemic or during the pandemic, the issue was the mortgage rates were so low that everybody was rushing to buy a home because they didn't think it was ever going to be like that again. So we were already running low on homes to purchase back then before all of this blew up. So the projections were way off because there are no homes. So when you have, people that are wanting to buy homes and there are none, then you're in bidding wars. So I wish we would have had Jeff come on here, Jeff Lawson, because he's always talking about he's putting a house on the market and literally before he can get the sign in the yard, the house is being purchased.
Yes.
And, if you remember back in, I think it was 2008, the 2008.
With the bubble?
It was, the housing market, it crashed. And I know that because that's when I quit doing real estate for that, for that exact reason. So, we really need to look at how this is going to affect us. So I found something for Indiana locally that I just want to go over real quick. So demographic trends, record low mortgage rates, and little supply of existing homes all contribute to the high demand market. Referring to national real estate data, a top-rated insurance company has named the 20 hottest real estate markets in 2022. In Fort Wayne, we come in roaring at number 4, which is very interesting.
Yeah, because we got all these places.
Yes. And then they're just putting, they're putting up a new development here, a new development there, all over the place. But the way that I see it, like you said, who's going to be buying a new vehicle right now? Who's going to be buying a new house right now unless you absolutely have to?
Well, because the bubble's about to bust.
It's gonna be another bubble. It's gonna be another bubble
bust. So I'm gonna wait till the bubble bust, and when all these houses go up for foreclosure, I'm jumping in.
Right.
I'm grabbing me a house.
Yeah.
Seriously. Yeah. Grab me a house.
Well, it's funny you say that, E, because just recently the CARES Act is supposedly ending or running out of funds. So that puts a lot of people in jeopardy right now for foreclosure, evictions, and all of that. So the market's going to open up, but where's the money for these people that's going to need these houses?
Right. Exactly. And when you say that, the housing shortage, we're not just talking about people who are buying homes or homeowners. We're talking about apartments, duplexes, the private landlords. It's just going to trickle down no matter if you're buying $1 million home or if you're renting a $300 apartment.
So you're going to get a $300 apartment.
But you definitely won't. But if things go right, and this is the way it should flow, the higher rates of the homes will lower the demand. And so once that happens, then it's going to make it easier for people like myself that's looking to buy a home.
And the mortgage rates, they're going to continue to spike. They're not going to be like they were pre-pandemic, which is also going to slow down the demand for homes a little bit and kind of get us, back on track.
A bubble in the bus.
So,
it's all revolving.
So, with all of that being said, we were having a conversation the other night amongst the four of us about selfishness and how you can no longer do things that maybe you would do for people before. And not because you don't want to do them, but because you simply cannot afford to do them. So is it selfishness or are we into that self-preservation mode?
Yeah.
We're in survival. We're in survival mode.
I think it's a little bit of both. But I can tell my mama, you can't get that right to the store no more. You're going to have to find something.
You got to pay me $24.50 just to get in.
Just to go to Kroger right up the street.
Right. So, I mean, it does boil down to just...
What is selfishness?
Prayer.
Yeah, prayer. I mean,
where we at? I'm trying to help you come up with the word.
Where are we at? I don't even have the word.
But it is true. And I think, especially, and we're going to talk about this, but there are certain entities that become selfish. And you might not think of it being selfish, but you think of it like the food banks even. There'll be, some of them are being, if they're at a church, they're being super critical of who they're, serving.
Yes.
And, where it was a month ago, 2 months ago, the doors were open, but now it's, we got to be super critical of who we serve.
Right.
So
and not to be funny, but that's because some of those people that would turn in the cans of beets are now holding on to the cans of beets.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Don't know what's coming.
That's absolutely true. And, I will, before we get out of here, I will post tomorrow on our Neutral Voices and Neutral Voices Network Facebook page some resources to help you if you are having issues paying your rent, if you are having issues feeding your family, feeding your pets, health. There are a lot of resources out there. So we will make sure to get that up for you tomorrow for you to refer back to. But we want to thank you for being here with us. Join us tomorrow at 8:30 while we do talk about selfishness and the impact of selfishness. And remember, always protect your mind. Good night.